pledge again. You have the pledge again.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to call the Committee of the Whole to order. It is December 2nd, 2019,
8:06.
at 8:06. And I'm being told we should do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Scott, the roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Ms. Albright.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. J. Murray.
Present.
Mr. Strobel.
Here.
Mr. B. Scott here. Ms. Leone.
Here.
Mr. Templin? No, okay. And Ms. Julia Olson.
Here. Do we have an executive session?
No.
Okay. So the procedures for public participation are listed. We do not have any agenda edits at this time. Do any of the board have any agenda edits they'd like to make at this time? Okay, time for public comment. Public comment? Okay. So you see we have number 6, finance. There is nothing unusual there. Is there any board discussion on finance items? Any public comment on finance items? Okay, on to number 7, programs. Any board discussion on programs? Any public? Oh, sorry. So we have presentations by the board. Secretary correspondence. Do we have any secretary correspondence, Mr. Scott?
I don't have anything at the moment.
Okay. We just had our last meeting a week ago, so there might not have been much change. There might not be much discussed on any of these. BCIU, I don't believe met. Is that correct? BCTC board did not meet. Student rep?
No. Yep, she's for the student board
Oh,
representative.
yes. And that's now, I guess?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So, Daniel Boone at the Primary Center. The Primary Center has been off to a great start this year, and they decided to add the look by getting even more involved in the community. Some activities the Primary Center has done included on Veterans Day, the students invited veterans in the community and participated with Camp Snoops, who donated $125 so the school could serve the veterans breakfast. They served breakfast at 2 times in order to maximize the number of veterans that would come in, and the final number was about 150 veterans. Parent Visitation Day was November 15th, and the students also had its first One High Fight Drill. As the students get ready to come back from break, they look forward to the winter-themed activities to come at Emily Intermediate Center. As the college started, the students were switching classes, mostly with excitement that Thanksgiving break is upon them. There are 2 big events coming up at the elementary school that the students are excited about. The first is the annual book fair, which occurs in the library during the conferences. Students have the chance to come in beforehand and make a list of what they want, and then they'll be able to come in with their parents and buy the books that they want. This allows the students to benefit from the profits at the fair and get the books that they want. The second upcoming event was the breakfast ball for teachers. Student council went around to the teachers and offered them food. This outreach showed how supportive the teachers actually are at AIC. The students have ideas such as a giant Christmas tree where they can make their own ornaments with positive words, or including a winter fest similar to the fall fest for winter. The biggest complaint that the students have is with the 5th grade lunches, as the occasion for the main meal for lunch runs out and the 5th graders do not get the lunch they wanted. The students are very excited to break, but they are also excited to go back and learn more. Tennywood Middle School. Unfortunately, at this time, there is no hope for middle school. Tennywood High School. Spirits seem to be relatively high in the high school as we approach Winter break. On November 12th, the National Honor Society held its inductee banquet, which was met with a reasonably favorable reception. Over the past months, the results came in for the Berks County Inter-Scholarship Mathematics Championships, in which 3 of the high school's best mathematicians traveled to Livonia University to compete against the 15 other Polk County schools. We are proud to report that all schools placed first, as the team and all the members placed the top 5 from grade as individuals. This Thursday, the 5th of December, the Interact Club is holding its Senior Citizen Luncheon, in which Senior Citizens Lunch is a way to keep the celebration for upcoming holidays happening. Keeping the holiday spirit high, the marching band will be performing in the Westchester Christmas Parade the day after, the 6th of December. Rounding out the month before winter break, the high school is having another blood drive on the 17th. In conclusion, the high school seems to be in high spirits for the winter break. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sweet. And last things, legislative reports. I don't think there is any. For other reports, the only thing I had already mentioned, the tax board meets on Thursday of this week. Normally they would meet the end of the month, but I believe because of Christmas holidays, they're not going to be doing that. So we're meeting early this month. So, are there any other board reports since all of last Monday? And public comment?
Martino, 225 West Wells Drive in Douglasville. Regarding secretary correspondence, if you look at the organization chart, everybody that works in the school district reports to the superintendent reports to the board reports to the community. For some reason, the previous board, the outgoing board, decided to stop reading correspondence from the community. I don't know if they were just reluctant to hear criticism or didn't want any input but their own. But if you're going to have an agenda item for secretary correspondence, I think it's only right that you read the secretary correspondence. So I'd like to see that in a future committee of the whole for discussion and eventually a vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martino. Okay. Next item on the agenda is personnel, list of retirements, hires, and volunteers. Any board discussion on any of that? And any public comment? The next ones I'm going to run through pretty quickly because we haven't met since the last time we were here. We will not be having...
Julia, is that for C as well?
Yes. Oh, I apologize. Go ahead.
I guess there are a couple things. I don't know if it's still going to be relevant or not when we get to the new board doc system, but if it is, we used to get the agenda and attachments emailed to us prior to the meeting so we could review them, and that hasn't happened. So some of us are just seeing some of this material. I went out and found it on the website and looked at some of it, but we hadn't been getting it by email to look at it. I did just look at the document for C, and we have the old signature lines on there with the school board members that are no longer on the board. So that's kind of the
And yeah, good catch. My understanding is that we're going to be getting new
Yes.
computers soon.
That's correct, along with the approval at the last meeting of the board docs. In the
And
process of rolling that out.
so when
Fully
that
functional in January.
So when that happens, will we no longer be getting an email with all the documents attached? We'd just be...
It would be through board docs, email will
Yeah.
come, letting the board know that the documents are available via board docs.
So, yeah, we're just in a transition period. I had noticed the same thing and had to do the same hunting and searching that you were talking about. So there will be no meetings, I don't believe, for any of the committees this month. Is that correct? And unless
if someone has something, if one of the board members has something to say about one of their meetings that they need to tell us all, I'm willing to hear it, but I don't think we won't be talking about any of that until next time we meet in January. Okay. And old business, just approval of the meeting minutes. Any board or public comment on that? Is there any new business to discuss? I have none. Are we supposed to be discussing the changes in the scheduling, or are we going to discuss that at the next meeting?
That'll be discussed. You mean a committee reorganization, that'll be discussed about in a meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Any presentations by the public on any issues?
This is primarily for the two new members seated. You'll hear a recurring theme from me probably at every committee of the whole this year. In the 16 years I've lived here, my school property taxes have increased over 40%. I saw the preliminary budget that the outgoing board prepared, which shows about a 5% increase in taxes again this year, which hopefully will be reduced. But my question is, that would put the millage at over 32. So my question to all of you is, what's the limit? I mean, in the past couple of years, without having any money and whining about being broke, you've given raises to the support staff, the teachers, and the administrators. So my question is, what's the limit on property taxes? 35 mils, 40, 50? I mean, how deep are you going to reach into our pockets without regard to what you're spending? I'd like you to think about that. You'll hear it month after month. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martino. All right, if we have nothing else, I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Dad, you have to sign for the new members. And Kevin, Mrs. Strobel, Ms. Olson, Mr. Murray, and Ms. Leone.
Have to do anything for
I need your signature.
I transferred it.
Basically, this is
Julia, bond documentation, then we're going to need you to signature, so Comer can come back. Yep.
And I apologize, we need 3 of them.
3 originals of what?
It amended one of them.
So is there a third copy?
There should be. I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
We sent out a lot of stuff.
All right.
If you just write your name and title,
Okay.
bottom line, that'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Mr. Paz?
All right.
Yep.